What up, gang? Carolina Jackpot time coming at you Sunday. It is September, I almost said August the 4th, 2022. Week 1 of college football, almost in the books. You got a couple of games left. One tonight, FSU and LSU, which I got to tell you, I'm mildly interested in it, I guess. I'll watch it, but if I fall asleep during it, I won't call that the end of the world. Well, we got the live show tonight, so I guess I'll be falling asleep during it. Anyway, tomorrow night, Clemson and Georgia Tech. It's probably going to be ugly, but I'll watch it for a little while to see if there's some chance that Georgia Tech may have a prayer of doing something viable against Clemson. Probably not. They're not. But, yeah, there's always that chance. I'll be pulling for them. At any rate, some good games yesterday. Some surprises. This college football season is just full of surprises, right? First of all, I want to thank everyone who showed up last night for the Carolina Jackpot live stream for the game. South Carolina Gamecocks versus the Georgia State Panthers, 35-14 win. Wasn't exactly easy, but we got it done. There were, oh my gosh, there were so many people in there watching that live stream. I thank you so much. Got some super chats left. Now, that video at this point in time, it is not deleted. Okay, so all you say, Jackpot, delete them videos after you put them up them live streams. It's not deleted. It's unlisted at this time. So if you want to watch it, you can message me at Hall_Kel on Twitter, and I'll send you a link to it so that you can watch it. It's about 4 hours long, and quite frankly, there was some bad language there. Said some things that I'm not always proud of. It happens in the heat of the moment during the games. So I've just made it unlisted so that only those can watch it that I choose to share the link with. But I will do that if you're interested in watching the video. At any rate, it's like 6,500 views on it. I was amazed. I was amazed, especially with the fact that Lou was over there live streaming at the same time. And he has like 15 times more people in his than Carolina Jackpot does. So I really appreciate y'all showing up for that. The Gamecocks got a win. We'll talk about that here in a second. I want to talk about some of these games yesterday. Who was my big winners for the day and who was my big losers. And this is kind of impromptu, guys. I got to level with you. I really didn't, excuse me, do a lot of preparation for it. But Alabama and Texas A&M, both those teams, SEC teams that are ranked inside the top 10, both of them shut out their opponents. Alabama shutting out Utah State 55-0. 55-0 at the end of the third quarter. So, you know, Bryce Young, them doing what they had to do, and then they got out of there. They held Logan Bonner of Utah State to like, it was less than 100 yards passing. I mean, he's a pretty decent passer. So, Alabama with a good shutout win there against a decent Mountain West team. They're not as good as they have been in the past, but they're a decent Mountain West team. Texas A&M, 31-0 over Sam Houston State, or Sam Houston, I guess they're just called now, the Bearcats. They struggled early. Their offense doesn't look great, but they shut this team out, and Sam Houston State is no joke. You know, I've said it before, there are good FCS teams, and there are bad ones. And Sam Houston State is a really good one. They're one of the ones that's on like the level of being a top 4 team in FBS. So, I mean, that was a decent win there for Texas A&M, shutting them out. Florida, very impressive, 29-26 over Utah. I didn't think they were going to do it, but, you know, I guess the coaching change there did some good, and I told people I thought Florida might be a little bit better than they were advertised. You know, there was still a lot of talent there. Just last year, you know, after the loss to Kentucky, it was a totally different team. So, congratulations to Florida. Big win there. Michigan rolls. Oklahoma rolls in their opener under Brent Venables. So, they all looked real good yesterday. Wisconsin with the shutout win yesterday. You know, I got to talk about Kentucky, 37-13 win over Miami of Ohio. They struggled in the beginning, but they were missing Chris Rodriguez. So, you know, give them a little bit of credit. And, you know, Will Levis, over 300 yards passing there. No real problems with Miami of Ohio. They will play Florida this coming week. That should be a really good game. Georgia. Of course, we got to talk about them. You know, I really wasn't really solidly in the camp that Georgia's not going to be any good this year. They're going to have to win games with their offense because their defense, well, I think they proved they won some games with their offense yesterday, and I think they proved that defense hasn't missed a beat. Has not missed a beat. I mean, it looked like the same defense to me. Looked like the same defense you had out there last year. Just absolutely smothered Oregon from the game. I have not seen anybody dominate Oregon like that ever. I mean, and Oregon's always been a top 15 fringe, top 10 team. There for a while, had vaulted up to be like a top 5 team. Made the first college football playoff. I've never seen anyone manhandle them like that. I mean, Georgia took them out behind the woods shed and absolutely beat the hell out of them. Ohio State did what they had to do. I don't know if that there was, to be honest with you, I really didn't watch that game. I don't, because I had the Gamecocks on. It was on in the background, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I don't really know if it was Ohio State's lack of firepower on offense, which we thought they were going to have a great one, or if Notre Dame's defense is just really, really that good. But 21-10, Ohio State wins in the horseshoe. The underdog Notre Dame covers. Marcus Freeman starts out his college career 0-2 as a head coach, but I mean, he's walking in some pretty tall cotton, the teams he's playing. Now, last year's the loss in the bowl game to Oklahoma State, a better than usual Oklahoma State team, and then this year losing on the road at Ohio State in your season opener. And once you covered the spread and pushed them to the fourth quarter, not really anything to hang your head about. USC, the Trojans, the West Coast USC look good, 66-14 over Rice. Big win there. Caleb Williams lighting it up. Miami putting 70 points up on the board against Bethune-Cookman. Tyler Van Dyke, those guys, maybe for real. Arkansas, Gamecocks opponent next week, 31-24 win at home against Cincinnati. I'm gonna level with you here. They didn't impress me a lot. Really didn't impress me a lot. I'm not saying they're not a good team. Not saying that they maybe played down to their competition a little bit. I don't know. Cincinnati is not. You'll never make the playoffs again. Well, not in its current form. And we were expanding to 12 teams. Forgot about that. So maybe you will. I don't know. BYU put a ton of points on the board against South Florida, 50-21. And we go on down the line. Arizona. We got an Arizona fan in the chat here during our live streams. Zona Tucson. Congratulations. 38-20 win on the road against San Diego State. San Diego State was favored. And Arizona went out there and left the smack down on them. And I tell you, I don't normally bet these college football over-under win totals just because it ties your money up. But I did put $50 on Arizona to exceed their win total for this season. And it looks like we might be well on our way to that happening. I knew they were. They covered most of their spreads last year, and they fought to the very end in a lot of those games against some good competition. Even though they ended up with like a 1-11 record, they were still, I think, much, much better than their record indicated. And I think that Vanderbilt was much better than the record indicated down the stretch of their season. Now, they didn't look extremely great last night. And once again, the old rule that I told you about, teams that play in those week 0 games do not normally cover in week 2. They don't normally cover, no matter how good they look. And you saw that last night, an 11-point win at home over Elon. Now, talking about who didn't look exactly great last night was my big losers, I guess you would say, yesterday. And I don't think anybody really lost that we didn't think or that we expected would win. NC State, I told you about them Purple Pirates. God dang. Had I ever a chance in the world to win that ball game and couldn't do it. I can't believe that kicker missed an extra point and a field goal at the end, which wasn't a real long field goal. I was kind of rushing in. I'd just gotten home from work at the time, so I really wasn't able to watch that. But it wasn't a real long field goal, like maybe a 40-yarder, and he pushed it. And there goes those chances. But I can't believe that guy had missed the extra point. He must feel really bad today. I feel sorry for him. The NC State squeaks by East Carolina, and I told everybody they were overrated, and it looks like they are. But, you know, that's, again, you can't always take what happened this week and apply it to next week. That's not always going to balance out. It's not. NC State may be a very good team, but they didn't look like it yesterday. Ole Miss with a pedestrian 28-10 win over Troy yesterday. Houston survives UT San Antonio 37-35 win there in overtime, exciting at the end. Boston College loses at home to Rutgers. Go Scarlet Knights. I'm going to go try to see them play in October. So nice win there. North Carolina goes on the road to App State. They win 63-61 in a basketball game that was decided by 2 free throws with .97. I'm just kidding. 63-61 over App State. That North Carolina had a 3-touchdown lead. I think App State had a 3-touchdown lead. You want to talk about back and forth wild? That one was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But North Carolina survives. I mean, and you got to say, it's a good win. It's a good win for North Carolina to go on the road and beat App State. It is not good to give up 61 points to anyone. So North Carolina looks to be who, you know, they were last year. You know, great offense, no defense whatsoever. None. Nebraska survives against North Dakota. Another team, you know, plays week 0, don't cover the spread. Who else? Kansas State, 34-0 shutout victory over South Dakota, another good FCS team. Coastal Carolina, big 10-point winners over Army. So they look good at home. Yesterday, Mississippi State 49-23 win over Memphis. That was a good win. Syracuse destroyed Louisville in the Carrier Dome 31-7. I don't think anybody really saw that coming. You know, Washington State struggles, beats Idaho. And the Beeve, Oregon State, the Beeve, 34-17 win at home over Boise State. I'm telling you, Jonathan Smith has got that program on the come up. I mean, beating Boise State is, you know, that's not a joke. Boise State's a good team, so that's about what I got to say about that. Now, South Carolina Gamecocks last night. First of all, I'm happy with the win. You know, a 35-14 win at home. We'll definitely take it over a good Power 5 or a good non-Power 5 team. Are they up there with the Houstons of the world and the teams like that? No, but they are. They're a good non-Power 5 team, a good Group of 5 team. You know, Sean Elliott brought his team in there. He had a little bit extra. That definitely, I think, had something to do with a little bit of them being a little more fired up. You know, I've been listening to comments all day. I've been reading stuff about Spencer Rattler, this, you know, overrated, this, that, and the other. Look, I'm going to tell you something. I watched the Uncle Lou, Your Season is Over video earlier. And not to disparage your college football knowledge at all. But, I mean, he's sitting here throwing off on Spencer Rattler as being awful. And then also throwing off on Marshawn Lloyd, the Gamecocks running back, how terrible he was. You didn't watch the game, obviously. You were streaming other stuff. So, you know, when you don't really watch a game, you don't really know the nuts and bolts of what happened. South Carolina's offensive line is a problem. It's a huge problem. It was a huge problem last year, and it is a problem that obviously has not been fixed, number one. And number two, I don't even know if it's been addressed. It looked no different. In fact, it may have looked worse. No excuse when you're outweighing the team that you're playing up front by, you know, 30, 40 pounds. No excuse to not be able to move the ball on the ground at all. The kid Marshawn Lloyd had no holes to run through. The kid looked good to me. He looked good on his feet. He was shifty. He was moving around. He was catching the ball out of the backfield. He looked good. He could not run the ball between the tackles because he had absolutely no run blocking whatsoever. None. Spencer Rattler throws a nice ball. He throws a nice ball. The 39-yard pass he threw early on in the game down the right sideline to Jalen Brooks. I call him Books. He ain't in the library. It's Jalen Brooks. That Jalen Brooks made a little comeback and caught behind his shoulder. That throw was beautiful. It was beautiful. You could not have dialed it up any better. He made some nice throws on the run. He did some good things. Offensive line is an issue. It is an issue. It has been for a while. And, you know, it forces your offense to really, I don't think, be able to open up the playbook. And quite frankly, that offensive staff, I don't know. I don't know if, you know, I don't know if retaining them all was the right thing to do or not. I really don't. I think that bowl game, you know, that kind of, you know, well, which I think those decisions were probably made before the bowl game. But, you know, I think that had a lot to do with the fact that, oh, look, that's why I told you I went into this thing with cautious optimism this year. Guarded optimism, I think, was my, was the terminology that I used. Didn't look like a good football team last night from that standpoint. Defensively, they looked like a decent football team defensively. I think teams are going to have a hard time throwing the ball against them. That Georgia State quarterback was absolutely awful. He did face some pressure. He's not a good passer anyway. He was like 7 of 29. Even if you face some pressure, you're going to be better than 7 of 29. He was bad. Let's just go on ahead and say it. But, I mean, you gave up, you know, like 7, 8 yards a game, a run on the ground to Jamice Williams, former Gamecock. He was the one that took the majority of the handoffs. Now, I don't know, excuse me, I'm not picking up boogers. I just scratched my nose. I don't know if that was a you know, coming back to South Carolina, Williams-Bryce thing, because he's not the number one back. He's not the featured back in that offense. The white guy, the Tucker Greg, is the number one running back from what I've seen, the depth charts. So I don't know if he was a little bit banged up, or I don't know if they just felt like there was something in South Carolina's defensive front schematically that they could exploit better with Jamice. I'm really not sure. But he did have a nice day running the ball against South Carolina. And guess what? Next week, I think he's going to have a really good game against North Carolina, because their defense is even worse than South Carolina's, if you want to look at that objectively, and you know it is. But run defense, not great. It bent but it didn't break. Pass defense, pretty decent. Number 24, Marcellus Dial, made a few decent plays. He gave up a few plays that he shouldn't have. You know, got a lot of Clemson fans on Twitter were over there. Of course, they were all watching the game since they didn't play. They were crying about pass interference calls that weren't called. Well, you know what? There were PI calls for Georgia State that weren't called either. I mean, that happens in every game, so let's just get over it. Special teams for the Gamecocks, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it could not have looked better. I don't know how Georgia State, I don't know how you get 2 punts blocked for touchdowns. I don't know when the heck that's ever happened in a game before. I'd have to go back and look that up. Now, it's been a long time probably since that's happened. But 2 punt blocks for touchdowns for the Gamecocks would have still won the game by 7 points. If you took those away, though, South Carolina wouldn't have covered the spread. Our field goal kicker, I think he's legit. Hits 2 over 50 yards. Mitch Jeter, I knew he'd be good. He's been an understudy to Parker White for several years. He's been on the team. He's handled a lot of the kickoffs. So with that experience and him being on the team, I knew that he would be good. South Carolina seems to be able to find a way to have a good field goal kicker. If nothing else, we've got a field goal kicker. We even had that during the Muschamp years. So, and speaking of the Muschamp years, once again, as I made the video last year during the Kentucky game, it looks like the man has never left Columbia. It looks like he's never left. I mean, it's the same stench that we saw in Columbia during his years. So I'm happy with the win. We got some really toxic people in our fan base that are just ready to fire everybody. I'm not ready to fire everybody, but I am ready to see some changes made on that offensive coaching staff. You cannot tell me, there is no way these same guys were sophomores and juniors several years ago when Kevin Harris was leading the SEC in rushing during the COVID year. Now, old Mr. Shadow of Death Valley over there on YouTube says nobody was playing defense that year. Okay, oh, they weren't, huh? Okay, well, then whatever. Then I guess Kevin Harris just was horrible, and that was just a fluke. Well, he did get cut from his NFL team, but, you know, so have several Clemson players over the years that we thought would make it. So, there's that. But anyway, this is not a video about Clemson. You can't tell me that offensive line doesn't have some talent. You can't tell me that they are that taffy soft. It's the scheme. Offensive line is the hardest position to learn and to play on the field. And something is just not right there. But like I said also, these are smart guys. They should have that scheme figured out by now. So, I mean, you know, maybe it's just not, maybe they're not motivated, maybe it's not the right guys, but you don't go tinkering with your offensive line at any point in the season, really, unless you have injuries. You don't move this guy from here to here and you know, don't switch, but you don't do that. You don't, because it takes too long to learn that position, to learn that assignment, to learn what you do in this situation and that situation. I mean, you've got to be extremely intelligent and extremely fast thinker and able to think on the fly. And I see problems with that line. You know, maybe it was, I hope it was first game and we see something better next week, but I don't have a lot of high hopes for it. I really don't. It looks like the same old stuff that we've seen coming down the pipe. So tonight, live show at 9 p.m. We will pick the games for next week's contest picks against the spread. This week's contest is actually not over yet. You got the Florida State LSU game tonight. You got the Clemson game Monday night. Both those games have picks out there on them. So right now, I think Carolina Jackpot doing not real good in the contest for this week. But I can't really exactly remember what I picked either. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. I will see you all later. I'll see you tonight. I appreciate the support. Please hit the video with a thumbs up. I'll see you guys later. Peace, and I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Go Coach Beamer. Fix that O-line.